Three, two, one.
Here we go!
Welcome to another episode of the CEO Talk. I'm your host, Selene Dior, and today I have one of my closest friends, Olivia Canlas, which I had the pleasure to meet through a local entrepreneur event in Vancouver. We were both on a channel talking about social media marketing, and I remember meeting her and thinking that she was like the coolest person ever. So I was like, you know what? I want to go up to her afterwards and talk to her. And yeah, that's exactly what I did. And we hit it off really well, and also scheduled for a coffee chat, and the rest was history. Yeah, and so let's welcome Olivia. She is the CEO and co-founder of Meowbox. Meowbox started in 2013. It's a happy, humble cap subscription box company based in Vancouver, BC. She is also a cat mom to two rescues, Zach and Harvey, which I love them so much. So yeah, welcome, Olivia.
Thanks, Selene. I didn't know you thought I was really cool before we met each other.
Yeah, I did. I was a little bit intimidated, but because you had like a full like sleeve, and I was like, "Ooh, she's really cool."
That's cute. I didn't know that. Yeah. Sorry to disappoint you, but I'm just and just like everyone else.
There's Zach. Hi, Zach. For you guys that can't see and are listening for the podcast, Zach kind of has like a human face. That was like my first impression of meeting him. If you're watching on YouTube, he's so cute right here. Cool. So I will start with a few icebreaker questions. I know the answer to this, but first of all, what is your favorite drink?
Oh, maybe it's the same as yours, but it's a Caesar. Extra spicy.
Yeah, it's the exact same one. Olivia makes killer extra spicy Caesars. The best. What is a current hobby of yours?
Pottery. So it was kind of like a pandemic hobby that came up because there was not much else we could do. I couldn't travel anymore. So I started doing pottery maybe not even a year ago, and got super into it. Took another class. And now I have literally like a cupboard full of like every kind of mug and bowl that you could ever want. I need to stop, but I don't think I'm going to.
Is it like, do you take a class like once a week?
You can drop in whenever you want. In the summer, I was dropping in a lot. I've kind of slowed down now, but I'm thinking I want to go back again.
Yeah. I think I have done pottery like once or twice, and it's just very soothing. Something about like putting your hands in like, is it clay? Yeah. It just feels so like satisfying.
It is. It's really soothing. And I think I might have mentioned this to you before, but like the harder you try, the shittier your pottery looks. So it's like a really good lesson of just like relaxing and like just sort of like letting go, letting the clay do its thing. And like it's like time and practice that make you better, not like forcing it. So it's kind of like the opposite of what you think you need to do. So it like forces you to relax, which is sometimes what I need.
I know. I also need something that forces me to relax.
Maybe you should take a pottery class.
Yeah, maybe. Cool. I know you love traveling. How many countries have you been to, and which one is your favorite, and why?
Yes. Yeah. If you know me, even just a little bit, you know that I'm obsessed with travel. This year, we actually got a chance to go somewhere. My husband and I went to Greece, and that was number 50. Crazy, hey?
Yeah.
And, but my favorite, and I know I just like can't, like I try to make new countries my favorite, but Bali is still my favorite. And I think it's because of like my experiences there. Like the first time I went, like many years ago, I went on a solo trip, and just had like literally the best time of like my entire life. And so of course I associate like that good feeling with like being in Bali. Yeah.
Yeah. I have the same feeling with Thailand, and I had like the most magical night of my life.
Totally. I love it.
Like, yeah, I love that traveling feeling, and you're like in a new country and you're experiencing like new culture, trying new food, going to new places. And yeah, it just makes you feel like refreshed and
Oh,
that you're like such a small part of the world. That's how I feel at least.
totally. It's humbling and yeah, and you learn so much. I love it. I can't wait to just like get back on a regular travel schedule.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so we are gonna start with some basic questions that I ask all entrepreneurs. It's like basically, how did you get into entrepreneurship? You know, like did you go to school for a business degree? How did you have the idea of starting Meowbox?
Um, yeah, I'm glad you asked everyone because that's like, I mean, everyone has a different story, a different motivation behind doing it. I think I
Yeah.
always knew, just like it was always my personality to sort of be in charge. I guess my parents would not always love that about my personality. I remember getting like grades in like elementary school, like about how I was like bossy and I wasn't really sometimes not I didn't like play well with others sometimes. And I think that I don't think I've ever told you this. I've never forgotten it. But there was this one grade that I got. I mean, grade, like I use the term loosely because we were kids, but one of them was respecting the rights of others. I didn't get like the highest score there. And I mean, it didn't mean I was like a bully. I think it just meant that I didn't want to like listen to anybody. And not because I thought people had dumb opinions. I think it's because I just wanted to like be in charge. I knew whatever it was I was doing was like a really good idea or something like that. Maybe I'm just defending myself now, but it's always been what I'm trying to say is that it's always been part of my personality to like lead. And that carried on through like, like going through high school. I did like class president, and then in post secondary, I was like a student advisor kind of thing. And so it only made sense. I mean, looking back, that I would take that personality trait into work. So, I had roles as like managers, as like assistant managers, that kind of thing. I was always comfortable in, but I think like the ultimate for me was to be my own boss. And it all makes sense now, like looking back, like why I maybe wasn't like the best student in post secondary, why I didn't
Playmate.
pursue. What's that?
Playmate.
Yeah,
Wasn't the
yeah,
best
all of
playmate.
the above. If I wasn't
Yeah.
in charge, I wasn't thriving. So I'm making myself look really bad here. But there's nothing wrong with being proud of what you're good at, and which was leading. And so to lead a company, you have to have that trait. You have to have some leadership skills. So I think it was always in me to do something like this, like Meowbox. Um, the challenge for me was what was the business going to be that I was going to lead. I always knew, yeah, like I said, I want to run a business. I didn't know what it was going to be about, like what it had to do with. And I was lucky to come upon the idea to do something with animals, specifically cats, because I absolutely love animals, always have. And so combining the two, I came up with Meowbox.
That's awesome. Did you have any like other business ideas before? Did you like try them?
Yeah, it's funny you ask because this doesn't come up very often, but I did. When I sort of started understanding that my personality was like ideal for someone who would run their own business, I started thinking about like what could I do, and it made me think of like, okay, what am I good at? What do I like doing? What makes me happy? And one of the ideas was a shoe store. I just used to like love shoes. I still have a collection of shoes that I just like don't even wear, but I just love
Yeah.
moving from apartment to apartment, that like shoes that I don't even wear. Um, so I thought shoe store, like that makes sense. Like I get the retail industry. I worked in retail before. Um, and so I sort of started writing up a business plan for that and going to trade shows and looking at like product. And it just like never took off. It just wasn't that right. It just didn't have that right spark for me. I'm kind of glad I didn't go into it because the thought of like working in a brick and mortar store and dealing with all the challenges of that is so intimidating. To like have a store, carry all the inventory, have a storefront, have staff um, in the store, every day. It sounds like a lot to me. I love that it was e-commerce that fell into my lap and not a brick and mortar.
Yeah. How far did you get with that business idea? Like, at what point were you like, okay, this is like not it for me?
Not it. Um, I went to, I think maybe one trade show, and looked at some brands and products and gave out my information. I don't think I made a website. I think I sort of put together a really loose business plan. So I did some math and I, wrote some things down, told some people. So I made it public. Like I told some close friends and coworkers. I was like, I'm doing this shoe store. I went to a couple locations. I lived in Edmonton at the time. So I went down to White Ave and I looked at some locations and looked at competitors and did a bit of an analysis. And then I think it just sort of fizzled. Like, I don't remember like a day where I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I think it just sort of, I think maybe I lost sort of my conviction that it was going to be something like awesome. Sort of like lost interest and it sort of faded a little bit. And then I think right after that, I went on that big trip to Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
That was probably more interesting to me at that time.
Yeah. I think traveling probably also like brings you out of your bubble, like make you think better, more creative. So that probably helped too.
I totally agree with that.
It helps. Yeah.
Yeah. There's something about traveling, and I always like suggest to someone if they're like sort of have like a mental block of like, I mean, almost anything. I always ask like, why don't you go on a little trip and see how that changes your perspective, and maybe something will come up, or you'll have a moment where you think of something that you wouldn't have thought of at home. But like speaking of travel, that was also another topic or another business idea I thought of. That one didn't go too far. It was just something I sort of wrote down some ideas about, but was to do something to do with travel. Something. I would still actually love to do that. I just still don't know what that would be. But that would be awesome to do something travel related, like, I don't know, testing out first class on flights and like luxury 5-star hotels. Like, someone pay me to do that. I think that's called a travel influencer.
Yeah. Yeah, if you keep posting those really good travel photos, you'll probably be one.
Okay, I'll keep traveling then.
Yeah. Cool. A fun question. What do you think cats teach you about, and why do you love cats?
Oh gosh, these guys teach me so much. They are really good at the art of getting people to come to you, getting people to do things for you. So instead of like, I don't want to make the cat dog comparison, but I'm going to, or a dog will come up to you and be like, pet me, love me, you're home, oh my god, pay attention to me, feed me, like touch me. Cats don't do that, and you know that, you're a cat mom. They sort of like, I was just doing this, I was just laying on the couch and I was like, I have the furry blanket on me, I know they love the feeling of the furry blanket, and I was like, look, I'm like, come here, and they like wouldn't. Right. They wouldn't. You can't like make them do anything. And then eventually they sort of like made their way over to me on their own time. So like, exactly, things that they are really good at the art of like making things happen like on their own time. So I pet them and they don't have to ask. And I'm the one asking, like, can I pet you? Is that okay? Like, he's like sitting beside me right now and I'm like, oh, okay, I can pet him. He likes it. It's okay. So, I mean, to be more like that would be like, it would be ideal. I'm learning.
Yeah, that's what I find about cats too. Like, they have like their own way of thinking, and you like need to respect their boundaries, and like you kind of learn that too. Yeah. And like when you first meet a cat, like you hold your hand out and you let them smell your scent, and then like, you know, they'll tell you that you'll know if they like want you to pet them or not.
Exactly.
So, like, it's totally different than dogs, but
yeah.
Cool. And are you like the solo founder, or do you have a co-founder?
Yeah, so I have a co-founder. His name is Francois. He's our technical co-founder. So he is a software engineer, brilliant guy, really intelligent, and we're quite opposite in terms of our skill set and our interests, which actually has always worked out for us for Meowbox, because he'll take care of, I mean, like, I have no idea how we set up our website. Like, that was all him. Like designing it, doing the back end, making sure it functions, that it does like renewals properly, and like the shopping cart, and like that's him, and he does it really well. Whereas, especially at the beginning, where I would take care of all of creating relationships with influencers, with new brands, with product, more sort of, I guess, the social and like creative side of things. So yeah, definitely it's like a 50-50 relationship with like what we've done together with building the brand.
Right. If you were to start another business, would you go solo or would you also have another co-founder?
I've been thinking about this a lot lately about like, what's my dream job? Like, what's my like dream business? Like, am I in it? Is there like, something different? Exactly like what you're asking. What would I do differently? Okay, so like, it depends, I guess, on like what I'm looking for. But I think I would do something solo, and only because I'd want it to be smaller, like a small, something that's just like purely for fun, no pressure for like, profits and numbers and things like that. Just something a lot more focused on just like enjoying myself and doing it just for the fun of it.
Right.
And like, I don't know who else is going to want to like 50-50 go on that ride with me if it's going to be something like very specifically like Olivia. That might just
Right.
be a me thing. Um, like, like selling pieces of my hair. Like, I mean, no, I don't really even need a partner for that. Like, that's not what I would do, but you know what I mean? Like something
Yeah.
really individual. I would do solo like that, just for me. But if I wanted to launch into like another brand and like turn it into something like far reaching and like, like widespread and really big, like really go for it, I would absolutely do it with a partner.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, it's hard sometimes running a business on your own. I mean, I'm solo and sometimes I'm like, you know what? Like, I wish I have a co-founder, someone that I can just like fight like next to like, with each other, like as a partner, and you have a support. But yeah, sometimes you don't get that. And
No,
yeah, so then that makes you build a stronger team, and have you like rely on your team and make that your support. So
absolutely. Yeah. I know that the business wouldn't be where it is if I had done it solo. I mean, there was a lot of like lucky breaks we wouldn't have caught, because we were moving so quickly. We would have succeeded, but it just would have happened a lot slower. I would
right.
have probably experienced a lot more frustration in the areas that like I don't understand. I would have probably tried to learn code, and that's just like that would have been just I would have probably just given up, to be honest. Like that
Yeah,
stuff to me is literally another language.
it is. Yeah, sometimes I'm like looking at Shopify and I need to make an edit and I'm like, what am I looking at? Like, I don't know what I'm looking at.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you just go close your eyes, lie down.
Yeah.
Think about it later. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, a juicy question for you. I know that Francois and you were previously partners. So like how was that running a business together, being in a relationship, and what happened now, and like how is that going for you guys?
Oh, yes.
What are the challenges?
First time I've had to answer that question during a podcast interview.
Yeah, of course. I have to make mine special.
You know all the details. Well, some of the details. Yeah. So when Francois and I started the business, actually at the very very beginning, we weren't dating. We had gone on some dates, and then I decided, you know what? No, I don't think I'm interested in this guy. I hope he doesn't listen to this podcast, although it's what happened. So
Right.
I was like, no, you know what? I'm not into this guy. That was great. Good, nice couple of dates. See you later. And then I came up with the idea of Meowbox, and I recalled Francois being a software engineer. And then I called him up and I asked him if I could hire him. I said, hey, remember me? I have this idea, and I would love to like hire you to help me build this website. And I did. I hired him. I remember I paid him. And then through working with each other and just seeing how brilliant he was and how well we worked with each other, we started dating.
Yeah.
And if you had asked me for the first part of the business, if I would recommend dating co-founders, I would have said 100% absolutely. And I think I would say yes still to doing it because of the dynamic that I described of how like we have two different skill sets that complemented each other. Um, I would still say yes to do it, but now looking back at sort of like the mistakes we made and the successes we had, I would sort of describe to be really like careful with, not crossing any lines. I mean, it's almost impossible though. I
Yeah.
respect couples who can do it.
Right.
Um, but like you said, we're not together anymore. But we didn't break up because of the business. In my opinion, we just it wasn't going to work out anyhow. We are still business partners, so clearly we work well together.
Yeah.
We just didn't date well together, I guess you could say. So I would say go for it. And I would say be careful. I would say set realistic expectations of what could possibly happen working so closely with someone.
Yeah.
But if you have really good communication skills, which I mean, I'm constantly working on my communication skills, um, it makes it a lot easier. If you have a good communicating relationship with that person, you can get really far. Like I know couples who do a book subscription box here in Vancouver, started the business together. A number of years later, had a baby. They're still together. So I mean, it
Wow.
obviously works. Yeah, and their
Yeah.
business does really well. So I would say don't be afraid of it. Yeah, don't be afraid of it, but be like mindful of like your communication skills and where things could potentially end up. Um, why are you thinking
Yeah.
about it?
No, I'm just curious. Like, I feel like the work-life balance, I mean, work-life balance is hard just like ourselves.
Yeah.
Like to balance our life and our work, making time like for ourselves, that's already hard enough. Doing that like with your partner and he's like a business partner, it must be like even harder.
We loved it. I remember we would like go on dinner dates, go on vacations together, and we would do work, talk about work, like discuss like ideas. Uh, we loved it. So it
Yeah.
was like it was fun. I remember just being like, there's nothing else I want to talk about except for this. Like we were so excited about our business and it was doing really well. So
Yeah.
we didn't mind. I don't know if that was healthy. Maybe that's why we broke up. But 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 yeah, I mean, like if you love your business, yeah, of course, like you're gonna talk about it, but you should of course take breaks. There's more to life.
I talk about my business all the time. Like that's pretty much like all I talk about. And that's good. That means you're passionate about it. But
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean balance, right? Like every now and
Yeah.
then you probably want to talk about like some sort of like show you're watching, or like a place that you want to travel, or like some new iPod, like AirPods coming out or something like that.
Yeah. Cool. Moving on. So, are there any competitors for Meowbox, or are you guys like the biggest company in the space? And if you guys do have like other competitors, what makes you guys like special?
Well, proud to say we were the first to market for a subscription box dedicated to cats. And yes, definitely we have competitors. They've popped up along the way for the past 8 years that we've been in business. They've come and gone, and some have come and stayed. So yeah, we have a couple of major competitors. But I think what really sets us apart, I mean, one of the things is our online presence, our online community.
Yeah.
Since we started our Instagram account back in 2013 and grown it since then organically and just like, you know, constantly posting and sharing and engaging, we have a really strong online community. And I think people get the personality of our brand. It was either me posting, we have Leah posting now, who's just like a funny, like quirky person. So I think
Right.
that like shows through our social media. Um, and we've built like real authentic relationships with other people in the cat industry, influencers, other brands. And I think people know us as like a really like honest, wholesome, hardworking company, um, with people who are obsessed with cats and like care about like animal welfare. So we're out there and we're like honest. I feel like people understand like who we are, and that's kind of what makes us stand out. We're not just like a brand that's like a bunch of letters and product. We're a lot more than that, and I think people know it.
Yeah, I think nowadays, especially since last year, COVID, a lot of brands have gone online and there's a lot of new brands popping up too. And people nowadays don't buy products because of like the product itself or like the quality or like the color of the looks. Obviously, that is a factor, but more so, they want to stand behind a brand that they can relate to. They want to see like real people running the brand, not just like they don't want to see all the fancy stuff. They want to see that, the shipping is delayed because like we are swamped. Like they want to see like the good and the bad, and they want to relate to you and see like the human side of a company or a founder or a team of people working on it. So yeah, I think that's definitely major like winning points nowadays for a customer to relate to any brand really.
Yeah, it's funny. We used to think we needed to hide ourselves a little bit
Yeah.
and like not show that we're a small brand and not show that we, are working from home and that kind of thing. But yeah, we've definitely switched from that mindset to being just like more honest and forthcoming with like, this is who we are. This is, yeah, like you said, this is what's delayed. This is why. This is me working from home. And that reminds me, I should get on camera probably tomorrow to show my face again. It's probably been a little while.
Yeah, I've been always reminding myself to do that more. It's hard.
Yeah,
You have
it
other
is.
stuff going on. Yeah.
It is. It is. Yeah. And when I don't have like my like blush and lip gloss on, I feel a little bit naked. So I guess I could just put some on and get on that
Do it.
camera.
Yeah. Speaking of social media, what was a few marketing tactics that worked really well for you guys in the beginning stages of your business? Did you pay for any like Facebook ads, Google ads? Was it all organic? How did you guys grow and take off?
Well, yeah, definitely. We we did pay for stuff, but I mean, at the beginning, like you don't have money. I mean, maybe some people do, but we didn't. We started from just like whatever was in my savings account after that
Yeah.
big trip I took. So like nothing. So social media was huge for us, and influencer marketing before influencers were even called influencers. We started sending boxes out.
Right.
I think one of my biggest sort of successes with the social media marketing was through this account called Cats of Instagram. I contacted them, just DM'd them on social media. I don't even remember how many followers we had. Not too many. She
Yeah.
might have had like 1 million or something like that at the time. And I was like, hey, like what's the hurt in trying? And so I just DM'd and said I started this company. I'm based out of Vancouver. It's called Meowbox. I would love to send you one and see what you think. And that's basically our approach that we still use to this day, 8 years later. Hey, we have this cute product. We love your cat. I love your account. You seem like a cool person. Here's a box. Let me know what you think. Um, but yeah, way back in 2013 or 2014 when I sent that box out, it ended up the girl lived also in Vancouver. Actually, was just texting her yesterday, and she was like, she like lived in a building that I used to live in, and it was just like, oh my gosh, I remember us going for dinner one night or going for coffee, talking about it, and like it started this like relationship. And
Yeah.
obviously, it's a still one that I have now. And she posted about the box, and I was like, wow, thank you, and people noticed, and I mean that was like step one. And we repeated that and kept doing that. And as we communicated with more people, built more relationships, and then those relationships turned into sometimes relationships where we pay people to create the content for us, and we use that in our ads and that kind of thing. And that's still something we do today. It costs us whatever the cost of our product is, and to ship it out. But also email marketing does really well for us, and
Yeah.
it's virtually free to collect emails depending on how you do it. And I was just like, I remember thinking of how much I hated the idea of doing email marketing because I didn't personally like getting marketing emails in my inbox. I just delete them. But they work. They work really, really well. And I just have to remind myself that we don't sign people up for the emails. They sign themselves up for them. So they're like, okay, sure, let's see what you got. So the key is to obviously send content that's like valuable and like interesting. If you're getting unsubscribes, in mass, it could very well be because of the content that you're putting out, that it's not valuable or interesting or funny or entertaining. But yeah, I would say the influencer marketing and email marketing have been sort of the most successful for us since the beginning.
Yeah, email marketing has been around for like, I think like one of the longest in one form or another, like mailing advertising. And then obviously when we became digital, email marketing came out, and it's been around like, I would say like for the longest. And honestly, email marketing is one of those things that you acquire for the customer once, and then they come in, they subscribe to your email list, and it's all up to you on how you retain the customer and how you do customer retention, keep them engaged, give them like knowledgeable content, lifestyle, like funny promo, whatnot. And you don't pay for anything extra after they subscribe.
Yeah.
Like it's
Oh, yeah.
pretty much not like free afterwards, but you don't spend extra like you would do on like Facebook or influencer marketing or Instagram like that.
Totally. I know
Yeah.
that, like, yeah, I get emails in my inbox that I will delete sometimes. But like, if I like the brand and they're sending me stuff that's like specifically targeted based on like things I've clicked on their website, maybe I have a shopping cart that's like, just sitting there. I'm like, oh yeah, I did put that like Sephora like face cream in my cart, and that lip gloss. I was like, oh, okay, I'll go buy it. Like, I mean, it's like, I'm not mad that they reminded me. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Okay, yes, I do want that. So,
Yeah. You're like, thank you. I know
yeah,
this works.
yeah, exactly. But it has to be done right, obviously, and through trial and error. Like, we all learn what works and what doesn't, or what used to work might not work anymore. So you kind of just keep going with it. It's a dance.
Yeah. I also know you guys were on Dragon's Den. Can you tell me more about that, and if it helped you guys with PR, press? Did it bring you traffic? Yeah, how was that experience?
It was so fun. I'm so glad that we had that opportunity to do that. I'll always get to like think back on that experience. I think that was like in 2015. So just like a few years after we started.
Yeah.
It was super exciting. Like, I know it's not like the American version of Shark Tank, but still,
Tank. Yeah.
it was awesome. It gives us some credibility to say like we were on Dragon's Den. And it was nerve-wracking. It really actually taught me how to pitch. I mean, not that I'm a pro now, but I literally knew nothing about pitching before that. And it taught me to know my numbers, speak with confidence. Say what an investor wants to hear. Explain about your sales and your numbers and who your team is and that kind of thing. We got really good because we practice and practice and practice, Francois and I. And you get really good about like memorizing all the key points about your business. And then you go in front of people and cameras and like crew and other competitors, and you have to pitch it. So I just was probably the most nervous about something that I've ever been in my life. And like, shockingly, I think 5 out of 6 of them, I don't even remember how many there are. They wanted a deal. And I just remember being like, oh my God, yes, we didn't suck. Our numbers were good. Our numbers spoke for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we shook hands with 2 of the dragons, for them to invest in the business.
Do you remember what were some of the things that like the judges or the investors were looking for?
Mm-hmm. They wanted to know what our expenses were versus our revenue. So what our margins were. Wanted to know how much we've sold so far. So they're gauging, I guess, like if the market is, if the market is favoring your product and if it's profitable. So they really honed in on our numbers in that regard. And if anyone has ever asked about advice about pitching to like a show like that, or just in general, it's like I always say, know your numbers. They're gonna ask. They're gonna want to know if it's a viable business. And then they also asked about like the team, like who works for the company. Do you work full time? Is it the 2 of you? So what I think they're looking for there is how dedicated you are. how dedicated you are, and they ask about like what we did, kind of thing. So they want to know about your people.
Yeah. At the time, were both of you full time?
I think we were at that time. Yeah, because we starting the business, we both had full-time jobs. And I remember quitting mine within maybe 4 months of starting it. I just knew I was like, fuck it, I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing. I don't care. Like I was a dental assistant, and I knew though if I wanted to go back, I could. You know, people will always have teeth, so I will always have a job in dental assisting. I would just maybe have to go back and like renew my certification. So I wasn't worried about that. And Francois, a software engineer. I mean, same thing, right? Technology is only just going to become more and more part of our lives. So, yeah, eventually we both left our jobs, and I think it was right before Dragon's Den.
That's awesome. That must
Yeah.
have brought like a lot of exposure for you guys.
A lot of Canadian exposure, but
Yeah.
mind you, most of our businesses in the US. So what it really did for us was, especially at the beginning stages, was give us credibility and some clout, knowing that we could share we were on the show and that we got a deal and that these people believed in us. The investors saw a promise in our business, so you can too, kind of thing.
Right. So you guys made a deal on the show with two of them. Like, what
Yeah.
happened afterwards? Did you guys take it?
We did not. We initially went on the show with the intention of not taking the deal. Like we were like, no, even if they say yes and we love it, we're not going to do it. We want to do this. You know, we want to be bootstrapped. We don't want to give away part of our business. And then you kind of get caught up in it and the excitement. And, you know, you look at these investors and they have so much to offer, right? Like, they have financial backing, they have experience, they have connections, they have all these resources. And so after we did the handshake on TV and they asked for our financial information, we started getting it together. We're like, okay, let's do it. We're like, let's break our own rule and let's take you know, these investors on.
Yeah.
And then all of the collecting our financials took forever because like a lot of small businesses, our finances were just pure garbage. Like we did literally like a box of receipts that had been piling up for like 2 years. So
Oh
that
my
was
God,
taking
that's
a
me.
while. Yeah, right. I know a lot of people can relate to that. And then as that time went by, we just started thinking, maybe we can do this on our own. Maybe we're okay, because like the business was doing really well. Those were like some of our most, you know, like a lot of the growth was happening at that time. So we saw our numbers and we're like, you know, it's like a few months have gone by. We're really crushing it. Like maybe we can just do this on our own, and sort of just like lost a little bit of momentum. And
Right.
I'm glad we did it. But you know, I don't know what our story would be if we had taken it, but I've loved the way that, you know, it's gone since then. We have done it on our own, and it is still just us and our team now. But yeah, I'm glad that we didn't take it.
Yeah. That's interesting. You see, like on this Shark Tank, even as well, that a lot of people like sign on deals, and
Yeah.
I have heard like multiple stories that like for the deal to actually go through, it takes like more than a year, and
Yeah.
even after vetting all your financials, like getting the money, having it deposit into your bank account takes a while too.
Mm-hmm. And people had all different kinds of deals too. It wasn't just money. Some people had oh, I mean, they were, I think they more were relying on like being connected to their, you know, network of people. So there's
Yeah.
all of that too. Yeah. I wonder, not too often, but I wonder sometimes what would have happened if we had done it, if we had done the deal, where we would be right now. But there's
Yeah.
no sense in that. You know, we're here today, and I'm very happy with how the business has like come to be where it's at now.
Yeah. Speaking of team, how big is your team now?
Oh, we like just hired someone today.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. So it's growing. So based out of Vancouver, I think we have about, I think 10 of us here locally. And then working remote. So we have Nicole, and then we have our fulfillment partners in the US. I think their team might be like, their core team, probably about maybe 6 people, I'm guessing. I haven't actually visited them lately. So I guess in total, like our team that's sort of on regular daily basis is working on the business. What's that like 18 of us or so?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's awesome. What are some of the challenges that managing a team that you've run into and had to deal with?
Well, first of all, it's like I love having a team. It's like it just feels so good having a group of people all working towards like this dream of mine, that started from this little tiny idea like years ago. It's a really cool concept that like everybody's like on board with like making Meowbox grow. Like we all have the same goal. It's awesome. Challenges for us as we grow and in terms of like team. I mean, for me, I wish I was good at like everything, like as an entrepreneur, you kind of like have to be like pretty good at a lot of stuff, right? Because there's so few people that you start off with for your team, like but at the same time, if I was really good at everything, I wouldn't have the amazing people who I have on my team right now, who are like actually like really good at what they're doing and love doing it. So like example, if I was like really good at like accounting, I wouldn't have Nicole, but like I'd be like I would not have good days if I knew that that's what I had to do. And I know Nicole just like loves the structure of bookkeeping and making sure everything's like in line. For me, I'm like, I don't care if it's in line. Let it be a disaster. I don't mind that.
Money? Yes. Okay, great.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes like it's like I feel like I need to be able to like skillfully support everybody in their roles, and sometimes I feel like I'm like, oh, like I can't. I'm not the social media master. I'm not the marketing master. I can't handle some of these customer service like questions that are or comments that are coming in. So maybe for me, that's probably like my biggest challenge. Is just like being okay with like letting go with the fact that like I'm not the master of it all. And that's why we have our team. And I trust them. I trust their skills. I bring people on, for that specific reason that I know that I can rely on them. And just sort of like let people do what they love doing and what they're really good at. Yeah.
For people that are listening, who was your first hire and how did you know that you had to hire someone?
So the first position that we hired for was for an area that like was just sort of becoming really difficult to keep up with. And well, I guess it was sort of two areas. It was our social media / customer service. And I sort of combined the two because often, and even still, a lot of customer service questions come in via social media.
Yeah.
And as much as I love doing the social media myself, if I'm the one answering people's questions on Instagram, then I'm not the one finding, the best shipping deals and, creating new relationships. So it was easy for us. It was like the place where it was becoming overwhelming. Emails coming in, DMs coming in. We definitely needed somebody to help us with that. So that's who we hired.
Yeah. I think for me, similar. The first person I hired was also in CS and maybe packing too, because we were in house for a long
fulfillment.
time. Yeah, fulfillment.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? If I like really look at who the first hire was, it might have been my mom. Actually,
That's adorable.
She totally counts. Yeah. It's so funny. Actually, I've like not thought about this in years, but it might actually have been my mom. Because we would, need help with fulfillment.
Right.
And I'd be like, Mom. And she lives on the island. She lives in Nanaimo, and she would take the ferry over and bring her little lunch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then she'd make me lunch. And she'd help pack boxes. I remember she'd put the little stickers on the paper and like all that. And she did that for a long time. Oh, I'm gonna text her. I feel bad that I like forgot that for so long.
Yeah, that's cute. Actually, yeah, now that you said that, it made me remember that the first person that helped me was my grandpa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember I graduated out of high school, and I was like running it in my grandparents' house, like in his bedroom actually,
Oh
was
my
where
gosh,
like all the bikinis were, and he
so
helped me
cute. Oh,
pack. I know. He
really?
helped me pack, yeah. And I remember back then we did like local pickup, and like I would be like going to school or like working like lifeguarding, and he would like go out of our house and like greet the customer. Or sometimes
Oh
he would
my
help me go to
God,
like Metro Town, because that's
Celine,
where I lived around, to like meet our customers.
how
I
could
hope
you
they didn't think it
forget?
was creepy, but like for me it was like so cute.
Like these were in my grandpa's bedroom.
Yeah,
Oh, how did we forget about like the people who
I
like are
know.
the most important? Oh my gosh, I'm definitely gonna text my mom later.
Yeah. Yeah. Till this day, they still help. And yeah, always our number one supporter, I think.
Oh yeah, totally. And I think that a lot of entrepreneurs will find that like friends and family are probably actually the first hires, the people who come and fulfill. Or I mean, gosh, yeah, my girlfriends would like pack boxes. They still do.
Yeah.
They wrote some of the first blog articles that we actually have up on our website. So yeah,
Yeah.
cash in on that. Friends and family
Yeah.
want to help, I think.
Yeah, they do. Cool. I wanted to talk a little bit about our global supply chain issue. So,
Ah,
as we know, right now, China is going through electricity outage. So the manufacturers are basically like 4 on, 4 off, and the production is super slow. Everything is backed up, all the ports backed up, just like boats like sitting in the ocean and not docking. And yeah, it's just been honestly a shit show. So how has
mhm.
that affected you? And tell us more about that.
Oh my gosh. I'm hoping like I can look back at this podcast next year and like hear like what I'm about to say and that it's like over and we can all laugh about it because you're right. It's like an absolute shit show. It is probably one of the most stressful like consuming things that I've dealt with during the entire time that we've been in existence. It's
Wow.
rough. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um it's funny though because well not funny at all actually. During COVID the business was really busy. We were doing really well. People like staying at home it like bodes well for cat box businesses because people
Yeah.
were adopting pets. They
Mhm.
were staring at their cats all day because they were working from home, being reminded that their cats are bored and that they
Yeah.
need toys.
Yeah.
So people were
Totally.
shopping online. So like it
Mhm.
was perfect storm. And we actually had to put wait lists up for the first time ever during COVID because we didn't have enough product. Now this had nothing to do with like the port delays or the boats in China or nothing like that. This was just
Right.
because
Just demand.
the demand. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, sweet. Look at us. We have wait lists. So we took, that knowledge and said, okay, you know what? It's going to continue to be busy. People, are going to keep shopping online even after COVID. And so we've bought lots of product. Now, the problem is that all that product eventually just like started getting rolled into these delays and like that's great that we spent all this money on goods but they're like on the other side of the freaking ocean and so um yeah so we had for example toys for our September box which we're supposed to be here a month before September, so the 1st of August, and we just finished shipping them this week. It
Okay.
is November
Yeah. What
10th.
is it? November
It's
10th today.
November
Yeah.
10th. Yeah. So we're a few months late. I'm sorry for the delay. And like that's just it like broke my heart. I was like, I
Yeah.
have to tell everyone that their product is delayed. And I know that like this one little box of toys isn't gonna like ruin someone's, like year.
Hmm.
But this is what we do. We look at these boxes and talk to our customers every day. It is the center of our lives. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
center of basically the center of mine.
Yeah.
And to not be able to ship the product that people have already paid for, it was
Hmm.
painful, so painful. And the worst part about it is that there's nothing you can do about it. almost
Right.
nothing you can do about it. Not the stuff that's already like on a boat or, at the port. So people have been waiting for a really long time. But like you mentioned earlier, people really appreciate transparency and honesty. And I got on social media, showed my face,
Yeah.
talked about it, was very honest and transparent, maybe even said more than what people were interested in about like the ships and the ports and all of that and supply chain issues. Sent emails to people, and they like truly appreciated us being forthcoming and honest and proactive. So as soon as we knew there was a delay, we didn't wait for people to wonder what was going on. We said, hey, this is what's about to happen. And of course, there's going to be people who are frustrated. And
Yeah.
I said like, for a box isn't the center of people's like universe, but for some people, like who live in places that it's like you can't buy these things and their best friend is their cat. I realized, what, this might actually be,
Yeah.
what they've been
Devastating.
looking forward to. Yeah, I was just like, oh God. Okay, so like, yeah, we dealt with it. We're still dealing with it. And we've learned a lot from it. We've learned that our customers are understanding, and they realize that we're human, and they're patient, and they really love our product. So and we've mitigated delays by working with some more domestic suppliers and looking at plan B and plan C, and we've become more resourceful. And I always say, with like some of these like disastrous things, like you learn, you get stronger, smarter, better. You learn something good comes out of it. I just like can't wait to get to the point where I can look back at all of this and be like, oh yeah, look at all these things I learned. Cause like we're right in the middle of it right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's painful, but I know that we'll get through it. And we're a group of resourceful people. We're finding solutions like by the minute, basically.
Yeah. And so for you guys, when you plan out your product, how like a month in advance they come, and like how in advance do you like order it?
So typically, like right now, we are currently planning out I think April box. So what is it? November, December, January, February, March, April, or maybe even May. I think it's about 6 months ahead of time. We're starting the design process.
Yeah.
So that's when we're starting to brainstorm. Well, we've already laid out all of the themes that we're going to do for 2022. And then each month comes by, we pick the designs, we go through like the sampling process, so sort of what's going to make it and what's not going to. And yeah, and then eventually it gets in line to be made, shipped to us somehow. We're looking at different ways of shipping now.
Yeah.
And ideally comes to us a month before we need it.
Yeah, that's really good planning. Sometimes we launch collections and it's like so delayed, and we like announced it. We're like, yep, we're launching like December 5th, and December 5th comes around. It's like still not here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we used to at the beginning. We were definitely not this organized. We were planning stuff out like the month before. It was a disaster. So yeah, definitely giving yourself time, especially now with things taking longer, is definitely a must. It's not an option anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to touch more on the point where like I think brands need to be like transparent with their customers. I remember I think like 2 or 3 months ago, we launched a collection and our website broke. The add to cart button wasn't working, and we launched to our VIP early access, and I was like getting bombarded with like Facebook like messages, Instagram DMs. People were like, I can't add anything to cart, like blah blah blah. And then like I tell everyone to like go on incognito, go on Safari, like to check if it's working.
Everything. Yeah.
And like nothing's working. And then I was like, okay, shit, what do I do? So then like I shut the site down, and our developer is in a different time zone, so she was sleeping. So I shut the site down, and then I immediately sent out an email, because this was on launch day. I immediately sent out an email like from my email, and the title was like, we fucked up. Like that was the subject line.
I remember that.
I just wrote like, we're so sorry, like we are experiencing like website issues, like we're trying our best to get it back up, like stay tuned. And then I was able to get a hold of like Shopify support and get help from them and kind of like temporarily fix and get it back up and running. in 3 hours. But I remember seeing people post that on social media and saying like, look at this brand, like look how like transparent they are. I wish this company was like them more. And like that made my day. Like honestly, it did.
Oh, I mean, especially after being like, oh my gosh, they can't put things in their cart. Like that's like what we're doing here.
I know.
To see people appreciate like that you're being honest, as simple as telling the truth and being like, this is what happens. Yeah, that's like a relief that you know you made the right choice to just explain what happened, and people understand, right? Same with our shipping fiasco. People understand. You just have to tell them and explain and be honest.
Yeah, that's true. Cool. So what is a very memorable moment or a moment that you're really, really proud of throughout running Meowbox in the last 8 years?
Ooh, good question. There's been so many awesome milestones. Okay, yeah. One of them, the first one that comes to mind, was when an employee for the first time said that I was the best boss that they've ever had.
Aw.
That just like literally.
It's heartwarming.
I know.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, you know, you set out to do a good job, you know, as an entrepreneur, obviously, you know, that goes without saying. You want the business to succeed, you hire people. And for me, it's always been really important to make sure that I've created an environment that people want to be in, that they want to work in, that they want to be in, and that they feel valued and stimulated. Because I know for me that like I love being here, and I've also worked in places too where I felt all those things, and we spend a lot of time at work, right? We spend most of our day working.
Most of our day,
yeah, and it's important to me, for me personally, to like what I'm doing, hence why this is what I'm doing. And I think people do their best when they're happy, whatever it is, right? So if I have a team of people who are happy to be here doing something that's like stimulating, but still something that they're really good at, you know, they have the freedom to have a flexible schedule or work from home or take days off, go on vacation. That I feel like that's almost like half of like why I do Meowbox, is to have this, you know, environment for people, and it in turn they produce amazing work. So it's kind of like you feed it from the beginning to like get to, you know, the other end of like all the profits and numbers and things like that. And when that teammate said that to me, I was like, oh my God, I've done it. I'm here. I like everything could just shut down and burn now, and I'd be like okay with that. I mean, maybe that's kind of why all this is happening with the shipping stuff. It is, it kind of feels like it. But yeah, I mean, just for someone to say that, it means so many things. It means I've created like a brand and a business that people believe in. And, you know, obviously if the business isn't doing well, like people aren't going to stick around, you know, like no one wants to stick around when everything's just like bombing and falling apart. So, you know, obviously the business is doing well. It's a positive environment. You've created something that somebody wants to be a part of. And I was like, okay, I didn't know that was going to be one of my goals. But after that, I was like, okay, well, this is amazing. I was just like so grateful to get that feedback.
Yeah, that is the best feeling, when it like strikes you and you're like, oh, I didn't even know like this was what I was like looking for or looking forward to, or like
totally.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Last question, related to business, and then 2 more fun questions. So what's coming up for Meowbox? Like, what are your future plans? Like anything exciting you want to share with us?
Yeah, we're actually going to ship product now. Now that it's starting to show up on the ship. So there's that. Yeah. We have some really aggressive growth plans, and I really want to build our team. So specifically in our marketing department, we've recently brought on a graphic designer, and I really want to build that team out. It's time for the marketing team to grow and shine. And so I'm really excited about that, just reaching more cats and more people and just really making a name for ourselves. But also the other thing that's sort of, it's not Meowbox, it's actually called Meow Fest, is our festival is coming back. After last year doing it digitally, we are going to come back in 2022 to do it in person, which I'm really excited about. Like Meow Fest, it's kind of been a project of mine because of how how strong our community is online. I was like, we need to have something like this in person. And
Right.
a cat festival sounds like weird and quirky, and that's like exactly who we are. And so I find like a lot of joy in like bringing people together and gathering like in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you can relate to that too.
Hmm.
And so that'll be back next year, and we'll be doing it in Vancouver, which is great. We've done
Nice.
it in Toronto before, so yeah, I'm really excited to like see people's faces again, like all together, all of our people. I know our community has missed that.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever told you this, but before I met you, maybe like a year before I met you, I have literally like me and my friends were like, we need to go to like Meow Fest because I think you did Vancouver and then you did Toronto.
Yeah,
And then my
really?
friend was like, let's go. And then tickets were like sold out. And then like, yeah, I think
Oh,
a year and a
really?
half, 2 years later, I met you and I was like, you remember like that event we wanted to go to? Like I know the founder now.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah, the
Yeah.
first event in Vancouver sold out so fast. Like the venue wasn't big enough, so
Yeah.
another learning experience for sure. Like there's a lot of cat lovers in Vancouver.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that. Cool. What are 3 apps you can't live without? Work,
Okay, well,
like,
Instagram, I'm obsessed.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all you have to do is like look at like my which apps I've been on for like 11 hours a day,
Yeah,
and I'm
and your
not even
report.
exaggerating. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that report that I don't really like to like look at. So Instagram for sure, love it. Do like work ones count, like ones that I'm
Yeah,
on? I
you can
guess
do
this
work
is
ones.
I can.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, I really like my Slack app.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. Like I have like my team like in the palm of my hand at my fingertips to like communicate with. It's like so
Yeah.
handy. You know, when I
Uh-huh.
was a kid, I remember dreaming about a thing that was like the iPhone. I just didn't know what it was called. And like the iPhone like exists now. It's like the tiniest, like most powerful little computer. Anyways, okay, so Instagram, Slack,
Slack. Yeah.
um, ooh, the third one is tough. Okay, well, if you know me, if you have my phone number, you know I'm a textaholic. I mean, it's funny. All these apps are like about like socializing slash communicating, but
Mhm.
iMessage.
Yeah.
I'm completely a texter. Like if you call me, I won't answer, and then I'll text you and be like, what do you
What
need?
do you want?
What do you want? Yeah, yeah, exactly. What are yours?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Um, Notion. I just have like became
Oh,
obsessed with it because it's like building Lego for me. Like I love building Lego.
oh, and you
And
like building
Notion is like building
Lego.
Lego to me.
Yeah.
Like I can build whatever I envision it to be and
See, that
have it like work for
intimidates
my
me.
team.
I find that
Mhm.
intimidating, and you like love it. That's wild.
Yeah, I think I remember one night 2 weeks ago, I was staying up revamping our Notion project board, and I stayed up till like 3 a.m. and I was like so pumped. I just like I wasn't even tired.
You're like, keep
I was
going,
just
keep
like,
going.
yes, yeah,
Oh my gosh. Good. I'm glad
yeah,
there's people like you out there. We need you.
yeah. So I think Notion, probably Instagram, just because our brand is like built on Instagram, and then between like iMessage, WhatsApp, or WeChat. Yeah, 'cause
Mm,
that's how I talk to like my friends, family, or my team.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And we
totally.
use Slack too, so yeah, that. Cool. Okay, last thing. What piece of advice would you give young entrepreneurs out there or people that want to start their business, or people that are in the early stages of their business? What's your one piece of advice?
My one piece of advice would be to do exactly what you did when we met. is to go up to someone. Go up to
Yeah.
someone
Thick
who's an
skin.
entrepreneur. Yeah, exactly. And introduce yourself and make friends with someone who's in the business, who's in a business similar to yours or related to yours that you want to do. Because people who have been through all of this are just like the best resource. They have experience, and not to say that you have to follow the same path as as other entrepreneurs, but like you get some invaluable information from peers. It's wild, and it's not something that I did at the beginning of Meowbox, and I wish I did. But yeah, like start those relationships. Those are going to be people who don't be surprised if you are connected to them for the next 10 years. Like, Selene, if you hadn't come up to me and said hi, because I wasn't going to come up to you, I was like ready to go home. I was like basically like trying to get out of like meeting anyone. And now like what?
Please, no one talk to me.
Don't make eye contact. Like, I don't know why I do that. Like, I don't know why anyone would do that, not make a connection with someone. But like, yeah, those relationships are so valuable. Just for support, ideas, information, connections, resources, like networking, everything. For your mental health, to just communicate with another person. But yeah, in terms of like being a new entrepreneur, don't be afraid to reach out to another entrepreneur or a mentor or someone who you admire and say like, hi, I have this idea, or I have this business that I started. I don't know, like, have you ever had anyone bite your head off? I haven't.
No. I mean, the worst is that they say no. Like, what do you lose? Nothing, really.
Nothing.
Yeah.
They weren't a part of your life in the first place. So yeah, exactly. You lose nothing. Yeah. And anyone who's reached out to me, I mean, email's not always the best way to reach out to me, but if someone's messaged me,
actually. Yeah.
What's that?
I agree. Email, not the best way. My email just gets clumped with so much junk.
Yeah.
And, like spam and like people trying to pitch like app software or whatever. Like I just don't
exactly. There's so much stuff in there that's like you've become like trained to like just delete. If someone comes up to me and asks like, hey, what's your advice for like the best what's the best website to put a subscription business on? What's a good customer service platform? What's the best social media right now? It's like, well, I can tell you what my experience is, and it's a really good starting point.
Yeah. I think for me personally, like if people come up to me and just ask general questions that they can just read on my like about us page, I'm like less inclined to answer. But if they like ask me specific questions like, hey, I am deciding between Squarespace and Shopify, which do you recommend? Like that's a great question. You did research. And you're like prepared to ask questions, and that you're not like asking questions just because you're lazy to research.
Yeah,
that's
or the really open question of like, hey, how do I start a business? Like,
yeah, okay, like where do I start? Like, how do I even start to tell you that?
Yeah, that's intimidating. Yeah, it's like do some Googling first and like come at me with your questions. And I mean, maybe I would even say that. Like, how do I start my business? I might say, okay, there's some like really great resources online to like start and with your idea, and come to me with specific questions, and I will tell you.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time to be on my podcast. Is there anything else you would like people that are listening to know?
I mean, if any of our subscribers out there, I just want to say, like, thank you for always being such like amazing customers and being understanding. You surprise me every time I look at the customer service emails and see how like kind and like empathetic and understanding and so sweet. Like people are so great. Like we always say we have the best customers.
Yeah, that's awesome. We do too. And honestly, customer is like what our businesses are built on. So we have to serve them and make sure that they're happy and, that they connect and understand us and that we understand what they need and want as well.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay. Thank you so much. And I will see you guys next episode.